Hello everyone, my name is Austin, and hey, wow, I just completed Yoimiya's Part 2 story quest, and my goodness, have Genshin story quests gotten really good. I just want to just talk about this story quest, so it's gonna be a bit of a spoiler, obviously, but wow. Before we do all that though, yeah, this video is a spoiler, So if you have not done that story quest, then yeah, go ahead and do it, and then come back and hear me talk about this story quest and just the state of story quest in general. So anyway, before I made this video where I talked about how I dislike the Genshin story quest and how the stories they tell are fun, but it feels like a lot more. It feels a lot more like a day in the life of like okay, so you and this character, you guys just solve a problem and you do a glorified character trial, in the beginning, right? In the beginning, like I don't know, early Mondstadt, leeway quests, shit like that. You guys, you and like the character would just do glorified, character trials basically, and just solve some itsy bitsy, problem that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's a tiny problem compared to the grand scheme of things, and I was really disappointed in Genshin Story Quest. Like obviously they're fun, they're nice, and they tell a short story that can be fun, but once I figured out that like they had a formula to them, I kind of got upset about that, obviously. But recently, like with like Inazuma and like Sumeru story quests, right? Like they've really mixed it out of the park, right? They really like did the home run, Like I don't know what's a good analogy. I don't know what's a good like idiom to say, but like they really hit it out of the park, This is like some weird baseball term, but whatever. Like they've actually gotten complex and they've gotten good, and I made a video shitting about story quests, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe there's a time. Maybe today is a good time to dedicate a video where I praise them and I talk about how they've gotten better. Like for example, right? Yoimiya's story quest part 2. Like the concept of the story quest is like, okay, so Yoimiya wants to explore the world to see, okay, where can I find this meteor shower that like helps inspire people or whatever. So the traveler takes her to Sumeru, and she does this, and whatever, right? So that's the synopsis, right? So she goes to Sumeru. You and Yoimiya go to Sumeru and try to find this meteor shower, whatever. But that's the basic synopsis. But along the way, you explore like I don't know, Yoimiya's beliefs, and you explore her mind. You explore, I guess, the nature of dreaming and the nature of believing, and just the ideological concept, right? The ideological concept of believing even though it may not exist, and having the power to just having the power to go on even though everything seems rough. Like I'm telling you this right now, right? And you're like, when did Genshin become so philosophical and so deep? That's why I'm making this video, because like Yoimiya Story Quest, like part 2, like it brings a lot of concepts and ideas that like are really good to just digest, right? Like the concept of believing, right? The concept of just protecting innocence and protecting dreams and stuff like that. I find these concepts so interesting, and they were explored in Yoimiya's story quest. I really enjoyed it, and in the end, they wrapped it up really nicely, where everyone like learns something new, right? Like I don't know, the traveler learns about I don't know, protecting dreams, and you know, and I don't know, maybe like the NPC kid, right? She learns about believing in her dreams, even if they may not be real or whatever, and all that good stuff. And I was like, these story quests have gotten really, really good. You know what I mean? They've gotten so good, and they explore good topics too. That I'm like, okay, you know what? This is like Archon quest, like development. Like you get to actually see the psyche of Yoimiya, which I think is so cool. I mean, not okay. Like, also to preface, not every single story quest has to be deep as Yoimiya's story quest, right? Not every one of them. Like for example, a good one is like Cynos, right? A good one is like Cynos. It still follows that same formula of okay, something wrong happens. You encounter that character. You and that character work together. You guys enter a domain. And in the end, everything's all resolved, right? Even though they're like Genshin still follows that formula, right? In the newer like story quests and stuff, they integrate that formula really well. They clean it up really, really well. For example, in Sino story quest, right? You solve a bunch of mysteries and puzzles, whatever. You find out like who did this and who did that. And you have to enter like this like temple or like this ancient ruin or something, and then after that everything is all solved at the end of the day. But like in essence, right, that was just okay. It's just a glorified domain run, a glorified character trial, but it was done nicely. It was done well. It wasn't obvious like okay, enter this building so that way you can that way you can I don't know, try out the character. Then after that, go fuck yourself. Go get this character now. Because like, in the earlier story quest, right? You enter this weird cave and it turns out to be a domain and you try out the character and I'm like, I mean, this is nice and all, but like this is just a glorified character trial. Like literally it is. But like the newer story quests, right? They integrate that part well. And obviously some story quests, like Yoimiya's story quest, they actually talk about like deep shit, which I really enjoy, right? Obviously you can have your fun story quests that are chill and overall not that like insane and not that deep, right? To clean up that formula of, integrating that, I don't know, that domain aspect, right? Make it clean, make it actually work in the story, right? Make it actually work. And in that regard, it actually works, right? I know I complained about this in my first initial video about like, oh, they throw these like character domains, these character trials like in the middle of the story, even though it does not make any goddamn sense. Or it does make sense, but it's pretty obvious why they put this domain here, you know what I mean? Like you can see the intention, right? But like let's say like in the newer story quest, right? In the newer story quest, they actually like they actually implement these like domain runs and shit like that well, and they actually make it weave into the story, make it actually integral to the story. It's not just a glorified character trial. You have to sit, you walk to this rock over here, and it's actually a cave, and you have to set up the party member team, and it's not like that anymore. It's like it actually fits. It actually clean. You know what I mean? Clean. But like yeah, like Genshin simplifies and actually makes the simple story quest work, and something that obviously that is, I don't know, something that I've enjoyed recently is like Yoimiya's story quest, right? Nahida's story quest. Let's see, Nahida's story quest, Yoimiya's story quest. What are some other story quests? Some of the newer ones, like Deha's story quest. They're more, they're more rich and they're more rich in their story, and they they go like obviously like there always be problems, right, in the story. Okay, you and this character have to still solve this problem, but in the more recent story quest, right, like yeah, like Neha's, Nahida's, Yoimiya's, all that, like you really cover some serious topics, and you really cover engaging topics that really develop the character. You know what I mean? Like they really develop it. They really develop a character. You know what I mean? They really do. Or at the very least, you get to see more sides to that character. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep bringing up Yoimiya's story quest because it actually is excellent in that regard. Like you, like obviously you get to see, like obviously, right? Everyone knows that like, Yoimiya's story quest, or not Yoimiya, yeah, Yoimiya. Yoimiya is like bright, cheerful, like all this and that. But you get to see like Yoimiya being serious and Yoimiya, you know, having a more adult side to her, which obviously you don't get to see much, you know. And like for example, like Nahida's story quest, where you get to see her struggle as an Archon, right? Like obviously you saw her struggle as an Archon in the main storyline, but it was more or less kind of just in the distant, right? Just, oh, you see her struggling in the distant, but you actually get to go along with Nahida and see her deal with the struggles of an Archon, right? Have to deal with a dragon or whatever, you know. Seeing her, you know, develop as, not necessarily develop as a character, but you get to see more sides of Nahida, shit like that. Neha, exactly the same thing. But yeah, like, these story quests, they've gotten good. You get to see more sides to a character. Either that or the character develops, you know. As like, you know, the character develops as, you know, develops more interesting aspects of them, you know. Or, you know, you get to see more sides of them. And I really like that. I really like that. So, Genshin story quests are getting better. And in fact, they're actually getting great. I don't know if I made a dedicated video on this or not. I don't think so. So that's why I'm making this video now, to say that Genshin story quests are great. I enjoy them. Yeah, and that's about it. See ya. Hopefully I didn't spoil too much. Yeah.